Chances are you've got stuff in your attic, stuff you haven't looked through in years, and that was the case for a couple in South Windsor.
When Bob Starr started to go through said stuff, he came across something so historic he knew it had to be published for the world to see.
Take a look.
In this house in South Windsor, built in 1835, the home of Bob and Edie Starr, you're going to find a lot of history. Probably the most significant piece discovered to date was found in the attic of the home almost 50 years ago.
Originally, back in the 1970s when I started cleaning out the attic, I found a manuscript, as I call it a manuscript, laying on the floor, all leather bound in that corner. And it said, "Reminiscence, Pierre Starr, for my grandchildren." My great-grandfather, Pierre, was a surgeon in the Civil War.
A surgeon that documented his time in the Civil War from 1862 to 1865 by taking detailed notes of his experience. Years later, in 1912, Dr. Starr would type up these notes into this manuscript, the one Bob found, so his grandchildren would know what it was like to live through the Civil War.
Okay, so you find this book and you think what?
I think it's pretty interesting.
Right, which most people would find it pretty interesting.
Right, and the journal was written by him, first person, nobody second guessing him.
In addition to the leather-bound manuscript, Bob also found more from Pierre's life.
This is a box that I found up in the attic with all the papers that are displayed on the table there, and the letters all shoved in this box.
Letters the doctor wrote and papers which document his life during the Civil War.
This is a letter of request accepting the position of assistant surgeon. Okay, they accepted his request. This is his discharge when he was mustered out of the service.
This little box contains several of the letters he wrote to his wife.
The letters were perfectly legible. I mean, they were
his handwriting was good?
His handwriting was very good, and they're written in ink. So they had ink.
It's amazing they survived, right, this long?
They were in that box for 150 years. Nobody opened that box.
Wow. That's really remarkable.
Bob felt these important pieces of history needed to be shared through a book. That turned out to be quite an undertaking.
Nobody would help me with this book.
Why is that?
I don't understand it. I got turned down from two prominent institutions in Connecticut, and I got turned down by two publishers.
And then one night, many years later,
Edie had her church Christian teachers potluck supper at the house here downstairs in the kitchen dining room table, and we started talking about history, and I brought it out and showed it to the ladies there. And this one lady named Vicky said she had a cousin down in New Jersey, I believe it was, who was very interested in the Civil War. He was a reenactor and everything. Could she show it to him? So she did. He came up and looked at it all. He got pretty excited, and then he called me back maybe a couple months later, said he had a very good friend named Brad Quinlan down in Georgia who had written 12 books on the Civil War and who was very, very knowledgeable about it. And so he showed it to him, and then Brad called me up and wanted to know if we could put this together. And it took us a year to put it together. I had the resources, he had the know-how.
Exactly.
No. And that's the only way I was going to get this out to the public, because it's part of America.
The book was released in August.
We had an opening at the First Congregational Church up here, book signing, when it first came out, first day it came out, and over 300 people showed up.
The book is truly a fascinating tale of how things were during the Civil War.
You're going to take away how the armies moved. It's unbelievable how they moved, how they traveled. I mean, it took 2,000 wagons with 6 mules pulling each wagon. It took 250 ambulances with 2 horses pulling each ambulance. They took 65 pieces of heavy artillery with 6 horses pulling each piece of artillery, and they had a 5,000-man mounted cavalry. They had to feed those animals every day, 40,000 bushels of grain a day. You might think the Civil War was a chaotic thing. Very well organized.
Very well organized.
The Union part of it was very well organized.
Bob and Edie want to make sure these important documents are preserved.
This is our goal. Bob and I have decided that we need to get this history and all this information somewhere where the public can enjoy it and it can be part of history and it doesn't just get destroyed.
Just remarkable, the history that's here in Connecticut. You can get the book titled For My Grandchildren, The Civil War Journey of Pierre Starr on Amazon.